2016, p. 78, recognizing that cyber is both everywhere and nowhere at the same time, p. 73. The same could be said of the Akashic domain, but even more so. This is not to say that reliable and valid information gathering from this domain is impossible, just that such readings may involve presumptions, skill sets, and technologies, and risks, uniquely distinct from engagement of the other 5 dimensions of the current doctrine. Empirical validation of prior psi-related projects in military and intelligence circles, notwithstanding their attendant controversies, coupled with findings from the scholarly literature on parapsychology together suggest that forays in the Akashic realm are not inconceivable. An organized effort would, however, require a distinctive set of operational parameters, including development of new protocols. A skeleton outline for such a hypothetical program is provided here. Operational parameters of an Akashic intelligence domain. Unlike much of conventional remote reviewing, Akashic readings may be more suited to reading the mind and consciousness of enemy targets and clairvoyantly viewing the future behavior and collective action of such individuals. The targets would not be military installations, geographic or geological features, or other natural or man-made structures, but rather the psyche and life course of persons of interest. The operational objectives would involve understanding targets' presumptions and motivations and discerning their likely decision-making calculus in future and past actions. Engaging in such readings and tasking subordinates to do so would, for sure, be considerably more complex than conventional behavioral profiling, involving a much more invasive probe of the personal space of one's targets. Such tasking may potentially present moral red flags cautioning against the use and misuse of information gleaned from Akashic readings that were intended for strategic and tactical purposes. More on this later. The recommendations that follow are modeled, in part, after the Duty_S 2015 Cyber Strategy, Department of Defense, 2015. A few strategic goals are provided, followed by selected implementation objectives. It should be understood that this material is drafted in broad strokes, by an academic scientist outside of the loop. This template can be developed further, with details filled in by individuals with command authority and greater content expertise. With these caveats in mind, basic requirements of an Akashic intelligence gathering program may be constructed around the following goals and objectives. World Futures 5, 6 Jeff Levin, Strategic Goal I. Recruit and maintain a ready force and build capabilities to conduct Akashic reading operations. This should include a. Recruiting and maintaining an Akashic workforce, through establishing a persistent training environment, creating job titles and/or career paths for personnel involved in performing and supporting operations, and identifying civilian technical personnel. B. Building technical capabilities for Akashic operations, through accelerating research and development, including with private sector partners, and C. Testing and continually refining a command and control mechanism for Akashic operations, especially so that it functions efficiently and is practical. Strategic Goal 2. Defend Akashic operations, secure data, and mitigate risks to missions. This should include a. Developing various capabilities to mitigate all known and to be determined vulnerabilities that present a high risk to Akashic missions, operations, and data derived from Akashic readings. B. Assessing existing forces and resources in order to maintain integrated, adaptive, and dynamic defenses of ongoing operations. C. Planning for defense and resilience of Akashic operations, through conducting mission assurance assessments, assessing mission protection capabilities, improving security, and building and exercising continuity plans in the event of disruption of operations or any degradation to the Akashic reading environment. D. Mitigating the risk of insider threats, through technological and personnel solutions, before they can compromise operations or impact on U.S. national security, such as through methods for identifying, reporting, and tracking suspicious behavior, including in the inner planes, improving accountability and responsibility for the protection of Akashic data, to the extent that this is physically possible, and f. developing counterintelligence capabilities to defend against intrusions or counter-efforts to block U.S. Akashic operations. Strategic Goal 3. Explore technologies to create an Akashic firewall and be prepared to defend U.S. vital interests from disruptive or destructive breaches. This should include a. developing intelligence and warning capabilities that anticipate threats to U.S. assets and violations of U.S. Akashic content, b. developing and exercising capabilities to defend the nation accordingly, both the physical geographic nation and our identity in the Akashic domain, through partnerships with assets in other military agencies, among defense sector contractors, in academia, and among civilians, e.g., sensitives, and through an annual comprehensive review of capabilities, and c. developing innovative approaches to defend U.S. critical infrastructure required for Akashic operations, including evaluative research of new or existing psychotronic, paranormal, or extraterrestrial originating technologies. Strategic Goal IV. Build and maintain a viable plan of Akashic reading operations. This should include a. developing Akashic operations protocols, including establishing requisite organization, staffing, and administration, b. integrating Akashic reading operations into ongoing defense and combatant command planning, c. synchronizing and integrating Akashic operations requirements, e.g., regarding force alignment, allocation, assignment, and apportionment into ongoing planning, and d. determining fiscal requirements and sources of support, including black budget and off-the-books funding. Strategic Goal V. Build and maintain robust international and transdimensional alliances and partnerships to deter shared threats and increase global security and stability. This should include a. building partner capacity in both the physical world and inner planes, with allies and partners from other nations and with contacts among extraterrestrial races or civilizations with whom the U.S. has worked closely with in the past. b. developing solutions to countering the proliferation of destructive psychic forces that attack U.S. assets or attempt to breach the Akashic space of our citizens and assets. c. working with capable international partners to plan and train for Akashic operations, and d. strengthening the U.S. dialogue with extraterrestrial biological entities to enhance our strategic stability in Akashic operations. To reiterate, this is a basic outline. More detailed information would need to be compiled in partnership with experts and representatives of diverse professions and constituencies in order to enable such a program to become operational. It is proposed only that this material serve as a starting point for more programmatic deliberations. At the same time, these idealized recommendations are offered gingerly, with full awareness that a more Pollyannish attitude would be unjustified. The past history of military and intelligence explorations into the world of psi and psychotronic technologies suggests that restoration of R&D funds may be a tall order, especially in the present political environment, unless such funding would originate in off-the-books or black budget sources. At one time, according to Charles Tart, a lot of research money was spent, but it has all pretty much disappeared. Tart, 2002. p. 33. The present author is not qualified to opine whether the odds of its restoration are growing higher or lower. Moral considerations. The first word in the title of this article is hacking. According to the latest edition of Oxford's A Dictionary of Computer Science, hacking is defined, simply, as unauthorized access to computer material. Butterfield and Gandhi, 2016, p. 244. A related term, referring to the dark 6. Jeff Levin, Strategic Goal I. Recruit and maintain a ready force and build capability I's to conduct Akashic reading operations. This should include a. Recruiting and maintaining an Akashic workforce, through establishing a persistent training system. Moral considerations. The first word in the context of the Akashic records, the word hacking is used metaphorically. The U.S. government's history of covert activities in mind control has been at least partly unclassified and is now on the public record. See Marks, 1979, Moreno, 2006, including the controversial MKULTRA, U.S. Senate, 1977. This latter project involved use of control and interrogation methods, designed to see how far the human mind could be destroyed, altered, and rebuilt for purposes of covert operations. Jones and Flaxman, 2015, p. 47, and is acknowledged as having been operational from 1953 to 1964, see U.S. Senate, 1977. It was once easy to dismiss such claims as science fiction, but their official acknowledgement confirms that there is precedent for federal authorities to run ops targeting the mind, the cognition, affect, personality, behavior, even consciousness, of both enemy combatants and U.S. citizens, military and civilian. Akashic hacking suggests something even more intrusive, like having a camera and microphone that can peer into a target's soul, not just his or her mind, including at any time in the past or future. As an article on psychotronic weapons in a publication of the U.S. Army War College reminds us, the mind has no firewall. Thomas, 1998. This too may seem like something out of contemporary science fiction, such as The Matrix or Black Mirror. The laws of the Akashic realm are said to operate in a deeper reality beyond space and time. Laszlo, 2014, p. 113. There may indeed be no firewalls that are known, although works of postmodern cyberpunk fiction do envision the possibility of firewalls able to protect open holes between the physical and astral world. Londero, 2012, p. 138. Because the Akashic realm is said to exist outside of the physical universe, ops that seek to breach the target space presumably cannot be prevented or defended against by naturalistic means, that is by any three-dimensional, physical, mechanical technology. World Futures 9. Strategic Goal IV. Build and maintain a viable plan of Akashic reading operations. This should 10. Jeff Levin. Akashic hacking thus would not require technology, strictly speaking, but rather a developed paranormal or spiritual gift that enables one to read the substrate of reality. Another consideration, the Akashic realm may be accessible through the dream state. Krippner, 2006. As noted, this does not really involve hacking, as the term is generally understood. Information is presumably available to anyone with the requisite skill set and karmic balance sheet to enable accessing the Akashic records, through whatever conscious, subconscious, or unconscious means. For sure, these observations present both opportunity and challenge for intelligence agencies. National and personal secrecy may not be able to be preserved. Moreover, who is to say that no other nation, such as any of the former republics of the Soviet Union or any other of our enemies or allies, has not already breached U.S. national security through their own Akashic hacking operations? Conclusions today. The five-dimension doctrine is the current warfare paradigm. USCYBERCOM has been at full operational capability for over a decade. and its mission is ongoing in protecting our nation. According to Adrian Rogers, cyber war is not some future concept or cinematic spectacle, it is real and here to stay. Rogers, 2017, p. 4. But there was a time, as recently as the 1980s, when the idea of cyber as a domain for military and intelligence operations must have seemed futuristic, like something out of science fiction. Accordingly, the idea of an Akashic domain as a component of a new doctrine of six-dimension operations may likewise seem bizarre, impractical, or otherworldly. Yet, as noted earlier, there is precedent for the work that would constitute the operations of intelligence gathering in this domain. The continued marginality or strangeness of this subject matter for the mainstream of physical science, engineering, and military intelligence ought not be so off-putting that it prevents exploration and operationalization of a functional asset that could benefit our nation greatly. This was recognized by the military decades ago, long before the cyber era, see, e.g., Dreyfus and Dreyfus, 1979, including in a research report entitled, Psychic Warfare, Exploring the Mind Frontier, submitted to the Air War College. Man's greatest potential remains a prisoner of man. Vast untapped mental capabilities create an entirely new battlefield dimension which, if ignored, pose a threat to self and country more serious than nuclear weapons. This threat starts from within. Our fears and cynical attitudes towards psychic capabilities make us our own worst enemies, emphasis added. McKelvey, 1988, p. 3. Novel capabilities originating in earlier versions of military doctrine, such as use of nuclear weapons. An especially salient fear is of possible misuse of this technology as an offensive capability, for purposes of mind control. According to a noted physicist, the mind-soul may be an information field. Wolf, 2016, p. 277. And it may be this field that is, what the ancients called the Akashic Record, p. 277. Formal efforts to tap into this field may thus entail tapping into the very mind or soul of the target, and once this line is breached, who is to say whether those tasking the operation would be content just to passively read information from the field? If it is possible to implant information artificially into the Akashic records or to control the mind or even soul of a target, this may be too tempting for operators to pass up. The moral red line with respect to conventional psyops was long ago crossed, U.S. Army, 2009. From psyops to psyops may be a short hop, methodologically, and of little consequence morally to those with command oversight. The U.S. government's history of covert activities in mind control has been at least partly unclassified and is now on the public record. See Marks, 1979, Moreno, 2006, including the controversial MKULTRA, U.S. Senate, 1977. This latter project involved use of control and interrogation methods, designed to see how far the human mind could be destroyed, altered, and rebuilt for purposes of covert operations. Jones and Flaxman, 2015, p. 47, and is acknowledged as having been operational from 1953 to 1964, see U.S. Senate, 1977. It was once easy to dismiss such claims as science fiction, but their official acknowledgement confirms that there is precedent for federal authorities to run ops targeting the mind, the cognition, affect, personality, behavior, even consciousness, of both enemy combatants and U.S. citizens, military and civilian. Akashic hacking suggests something even more intrusive, like having a camera and microphone that can peer into a target's soul, not just his or her mind, including at any time in the past or future. As an article on such a